widdz here, and in today's video we're gonna check out 3 must-have builds when it comes to the Division 2. Actually, I'm gonna add in a bonus build, so call that 4. So you're gonna have a build for basically everything in the game, like a really fast farming open world build, a tank DPS build, and of course a full damage build. I'm not gonna go super detailed into the builds as I usually do, but if you are interested to check the builds more in detail, every single build do have a dedicated video for that. But before we get started, I just want to quickly shout out my partner, My Protein. So if you need to stock up on some protein powder, protein bars, or workout clothes, then make sure you click the link in the description and get 30% off with code widdz. So we're gonna start off the video with nothing less than Striker. And this is actually the build that I do recommend for new players that just hit level 40. Get 4-piece Striker, and then there is a decent amount of options to go from there. I used to run thermal on the knee pads, but they did get deleted. So just make sure you get at least the backpack in most scenarios. You can run memento if you have that, but backpack is really good. I do recommend Coyotes, which is a really good one for crit. And in terms of chest piece, usually rocking a Seska with Obliterate is a really good choice. It's just easier to keep the stacks, because if you do have a Striker chest piece, then you're gonna have trouble to keep all the stacks, because the stacks go from 100 to 200. But basically any 4-piece Striker, then you can add like a Seska or like a Grupo, and then depending on what exotics you have. Like another great one is the Exodus gloves that gives you really good survivability, especially if you choose to play 6 red, which is what I do. Especially for group content, I would recommend that. But of course, you can play like 2 blues or 3 blues if that's your liking. In terms of stats priority, of course, weapon damage and armor, the core attribute for your liking. I do 6 red, and then just get critical hit chance and critical hit damage on every single slot possible. And just make sure you hit the critical hit chance cap at 60%. And worth to note, if you are playing Coyotes, I like to go for 25% crit chance below, because I do play it at pretty long range, but at least like get 10% below crit chance cap, which would be 50% then, cap being 60. In terms of guns, if you have a Lexington, I would recommend that. Otherwise, I would recommend to farm the Saint Elmo. I think this gun is amazing. If you were lucky, you might have the Caretaker, which would be a good one as well. But honestly, if you don't have Elmo, just use any high-end AR and slap on a talent like either Streamline, or you can go Killer. And that's a really good way to do it. And then you can use a Lefty, AA12 or Rock and Roll just to build stacks easily. And in terms of skills, this is gonna be like the same for probably all of the builds here. Always I use a Revive Hive, and then usually just a Crusader Ballistic Shield. When it comes to specialization, Gunner is the go-to almost every time for PvE, because of the 10% armor kill it gives you. Also, the every third reload is 50% faster, and you have also 5% increasement on rate of fire on kill for 5 seconds. Just make sure that you get the bonus damage in this tree right here for the weapon type you are using. Next one on the list is Hotshot, which is extremely good to farm the open world with, giving you a lot of sniper damage, headshot damage, and then the 4-piece giving you more damage and refilling the mag and all of that good stuff. In terms of stats on this one, just go 6 red for all damage. Minor attribute focus will be headshot damage. If you can't get that, or as a second one, you will get weapon handling. Weapon handling increasing stability, accuracy, reload speed, and swap speed. You can do these builds quite a lot of different ways. Personally, the damage on snipers one-shotting is really high, so you don't have to go 100% all the damage in the world, right? So I like to run this with Exodus gloves, just to have extra survivability. If you don't have those, don't worry. You can easily just pair it with 2-piece Hasberg on chest and a backpack. Make sure you get Headhunter on the chest talent. And you can see here this Hasberg is definitely not that good, but still works flawless. In terms of gun, for this build, Model 700 is the highest damage. Get damage to target out of cover on the gun. And get determined and you will be set. I am using Tactical 308 just because of the aesthetics and also because it has faster rate of fire. I feel like the damage is enough and I honestly find it really fun to shoot this fast with a sniper. We quickly take a look here. Like if you do this thing right here, it's like like it does it in 5 while the Model 700 does it in 6. So like 1 second faster on like 6 kills basically. I think it is. And if you do have Ninja Bike, I do like this version as well. It's using the Walker and Harris named Chain Killer for that perfect headhunter. And then we also using Hasberg. And then of course Ninja Bike. Really good setup as well. But as long as you get 4-piece hotshot, and then you can just get Hasberg backpack with Vigilance. And then just a Hasberg chest piece with Headhunter. If you don't even have that, even going brand sets such as Araldi will be good enough too to start off with. And skills, Revive Hive, and then also Decoy is what I like to use. And even here I do decide to run Gunner just for the armor on kill. You don't have to do that, you can run Sharpshooter. Moving on to the third build, and the third build is Heartbreaker. So this gives you AR and LMG damage, also weapon handling once again, and then the 4-piece Heartstopper. So this one revolves around applying pulse. So with a headshot you apply pulse for 5 seconds. You can use the Technician specialization where it does give you a laser pointer, linked laser pointer, right, that pulls when you ADS on target, so you don't have to care about hitting headshots if you have an issue with that. And yeah, when you hit the pulse target, it will give you bonus armor and also weapon damage to the pulsed enemies. Same thing as with Striker. We are gonna focus on critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Get 60% critical hit chance and you are basically set. And put the rest into critical hit damage. Same here as Striker. We're gonna be using Rock'n'Rolla or Lefty to build the stacks. And gun wise, if you have a Lexington, extremely good. Just go Streamline or go Killer. You don't have Lexington, once again, get the Elmo. If you don't have it, farm Countdown for ARs and you should get it eventually. Otherwise, just use any high-end ARs with damage to target out of cover on, and also with Killer or Streamline, depending on your likings. So Heartbreaker, you can do different type of ways. The chest piece is pretty strong, increasing the stacks on Heartstopper, so definitely do recommend to use that. The backpack gives you 1% more bonus armor, so instead of 1%, it will be 2%. Works pretty well as well. But if you do have Memento, it is really good for this build, especially for soloing. But otherwise, you could use a Heartbreaker backpack. And then just put in a Seska for that critical hit chance. And I mean, you see the knee pad slot here. If you have a thermal, you could use that right there. But I mean, depending on what exotics you have, let's say you actually do run a... You could run a Seska backpack, maybe not with Vigilance. I mean, you could. But if you want to have some bonus armor, you could do Bloodsucker. Get even more bonus armor right there. And I mean, you could run Vigilance because of the bonus armor and shield combo. Probably wouldn't recommend that though. But let's say you want to run it basic, you run the backpack right there. Maybe you have a Coyotes, you could use that right there. Or you don't have any exotics, I mean, just slap on a Fenris mask and you're basically good to go. What I'm trying to say here is you don't need, like, what I'm trying to say here is a lot of these builds you can make work pretty well without having like Memento backpack, for example. Like you could even run the Heartbreaker one. Maybe you have the Exodus gloves and you could run something like this, right? Like there's a lot of options when it comes to these builds, just especially to start off with. Same thing here as Striker, Revive, Hive, and Shield, and then the same specialization. So the fourth and final build is a Backfire build. And this one is a bit more season specific because Backfire gives you 200 critical hit damage. This season allows you to get 100% crit chance. So this gun works extremely well. And this one is the Striker with 100% hazard protection and memento backpack. You can build this one in a lot of different ways. I did upload this video yesterday, updated one. But you definitely want to have a 4-piece Striker, of course, once again. For the stacks, chest piece can be hard to use, but if you play content where you feel like you are pretty close to 200 stacks or really high, then it's a really good choice. So either you run Sokolov for that extra SMG damage, but then you won't always have 100% hazard protection, or you run a Yawl just to get 100% hazard protection all the time. And I mean, that's the way I definitely prefer. But there are multiple ways you can do this build. Like, let's say you don't have a memento backpack. I mean, if you want to do a budget one, you can even skip Yawl, and let's say you go 2-piece Siska. You get the crit chance and you get the 20% hazard protection. And then you can run, once again, if you want to have some more survivability, you could run Bloodsucker. So that's an option, but I do believe memento with this is just so goddamn crazy. I am also fooling around with a few ninja bike setups for this, so that will probably be a video later in a few days, we will see. And in terms of all the pieces, hazard protection everywhere, which means the Striker piece needs to drop with hazard protection, so you can roll the core attribute to blue. And yeah, the Yawl piece can be anywhere here, it does not matter. But honestly, what I probably would recommend for most people, depending on the content you do though, is to run a Yawl chest piece with Obliterate. And then you run a Striker mask. Like this. I think this is definitely a really good way to do it. And also worth to note, as I did talk in the video I posted yesterday, Intimidate works actually really well with this because of the bonus armor from Memento and the uptime. When I checked the legendary run we did, I had like 100% uptime, so that's definitely an option. If you want to be a bit more supportish for your team, then I would recommend Vanguard, since the damage you have is still really, really good. Something I will be looking up as well is to use the named Visionary for that extra optimal range. It adds around 10 meters if you play this one solo, but I mean, you have it as a 2-piece right there, so ninja bike it up for that insane optimal range, which is something I want to test. And worth to note as well is if you have a Hollow Man mask, you can use that. Same thing here, you get blue, you have the health damage, and then has the protection. 14% health damage is quite a lot, and I don't think I would usually recommend this. The health damage would help against the robots, but since the seasonal modifiers, the NPCs do have overheal, which definitely makes the health damage even better. It's just kind of hard to get this piece. I can craft it though, so yeah, maybe I will actually try to craft one. And talking about the season, we haven't gone through it yet, so I think it's important we do that. That's to go through the modifiers, because especially for this Hazard Striker Backfire build, they are extremely important. So we're gonna go the Assault Link because we are all blue, right? So we will get 5% weapon damage for every non-red core equipped. Also, when you activate this one, you're gonna hit 100% crit chance, so your damage will just be insane. If you're mainly playing red, then you swap to the Security Link, basically working in the reverse. For every non-blue core equipped, you get 60,000 total armor. Then Safety First, which is insanely good when you're going blues, because you will be at Stam tier 4 as default, giving you 30% hazard protection instantly. And when you hit tier 5, you get 37.5% in total, which makes it pretty easy to hit 100% hazard, which makes this build really good. Then of course, they load it up for extra critical hit damage from your crit chance. And then for damage, the best kind of defense, adding around 45% headshot damage, which is pretty good for SMGs if you hit headshots, because they do have low headshot damage by default. If you want to go a bit more tanky, you can go extra padding for that protection from elite per blue core as well. So that would be 30%. And same here with skills and also specialization. Nothing changed there. But I think that covers all 3 or actually 4 must-have builds for the Division 2. You have all these 3 or 4 builds. I mean, you can do any content in the game. You will have a good loadout for it. I went through this really quick because I don't want the video to be 40 minutes long. So if you want to have more specific details for the builds, I do have detailed videos for every single one of them. So make sure you check the description if you want to see those. If you have any questions, just put them in the comment section below, or maybe try to catch me live at twitch.tv/widdz. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next YouTube video.